Well, hello, enlightened women. It is Monday, and if it's Monday, then that means it's time for Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. I'm so excited, and y'all know how excited I get about our theme song. This song is just so awesome. I absolutely love MB Music for making it possible for us creating our own theme song as we come on. Welcome. Come on in. Call your girlfriend, text your girlfriend, email your girlfriend in midlife and say, come on, join me in the room. It's time for Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K. Hey, Tammy, I want to say, didn't I just see you? I love it. For those of you who are watching via YouTube or whether you're on the Enlightened Woman page, on the Facebook page, or if you are in our private community Enlightened Woman page, welcome. So glad that you are here in this amazing community of women who have decided to redefine what midlife is. It's not crisis, it's not chaos, but we are commanding a different narrative. We are saying this is our season of enlightenment, empowerment. We are redesigning, rebirthing, right? Our life. This is the best season that it could possibly be. And I'm so excited for the month of January. So Enlightened Woman Enterprises, that is the mother umbrella for Mondays in the Meditation Room. We are celebrating 2 years in January. Matter of fact, January 21st, 2 years ago, we made it official. And even though it's not where it's gonna be, I don't want to wait to then to celebrate. I'm celebrating along the way, along the journey as we become all that God wants us to be for enlightened women. We are all things enlightenment and empowerment for Black women in midlife. So come on, make sure you follow us on Facebook. Make sure you ask to join us in the Enlightened Woman and become a part of this sacred sisterhood. We are so excited. Hey, y'all. And you know what? This is one of the joys of midlife, right? Putting on glasses so you can see what's really going on, right? So as I was saying, we're celebrating for the entire month of January what I call HWICs, Head Women in Charge. We are celebrating and honoring women who are midlife influencers, midlife entrepreneurs, C-suiters, creatives, co-founders of businesses. I love to say that they are midlife business mavens. Last week, Melanie Gamble was in the room with us. We had a wonderful time, and I can't tell you how excited I am. Oh my gosh, to have our special guest on tonight. So get ready, invite some more folks, and tell them to come on in. So, hey, Subi, aren't you excited about our guest tonight? I'm so excited too. Hey, Crystal, welcome back. Hey, Dawn. All right, so I can really pay attention now that our theme song has gone off, because it just makes me want to groove. Y'all know how I do. I love it. So we are celebrating, and on tonight, I'm going to read her bio because I am just so impressed by the people of God that God has brought into my life. I don't even want to say how many years it's been. Hey, Winnie, I've known her, but we'll talk about that some more. And I don't want to waste any more time because I'm excited to bring her on and to have this wonderful, amazing, and enlightening conversation with her. So my special guest is Catherine Bridges Freeland, woo-hoo-hoo, President and CEO and author. She is President and CEO of ATech Inc. And its wholly owned subsidiary, Maxon Consulting, both Virginia-based. Don't you love when I say this? Woman-owned small business that provides application development and modernization. And Kathy, can I tell you, she's in I want to say in the red room, not the green room. I love it. I want to call it the red room. She's in the red room. I'm going to read it all because it is so powerful. Hey, Reverend Kendra, right? IT management and CIO support, scientific and customer support services, including data management, bioscience, and facility space management, optimization solutions, services, and staffing to federal government agencies across multiple mission areas, including health, homeland security, law enforcement, and life sciences. As the CEO, Mrs. Freeland is directly responsible for leading the company's strategic vision and direction, developing strategic and tactical goals, operating plans, and policies for the corporation, and implementing board approved plans. She directs the company with highly strategic business plans referred to as Vision 2021, the way forward, with the goal of optimizing profits and return on invested capital. Mrs. Freeland plays a vital role in business development, customer satisfaction, financial stability, and employee relations. Y'all, she's somebody. I'm so excited. A serial entrepreneur, she is also the founder and former chief executive officer of RG2 Technologies, an information technology systems integration and engineering solutions company whose myriad of customers included nine presidential, I couldn't wait to read this part, Kathy, nine presidential cabinet agencies of the federal government. She successfully built and sold RG2 to Computer Horizons Corp in 2003. And under Ms. Freeland's leadership, RG2 more than tripled in size, with revenue growing 4,800% over an 11-year period. After fulfilling a 3-year transition period with Computer Horizons, she retired in 2006 from the brainchild she started in a basement office in search of her next entrepreneurial adventure, ATech Inc. Prior to founding RG2, she spent over 7 years supporting various federal government agencies in the area of financial information and program support. She's a visionary leader who has made her mark in the business community. I love it. She has several board appointments to include Board of Visitors for the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Board of Directors and Finance Committee Chair, Baltimore Washington Medical Center, and Council Director, School of Business, University of Alabama at Birmingham. Susan just came back from Alabama, and among her noted achievements, it's Leaders Nest inaugural FedM Award recipient, Enterprising Women Magazine Enterprising Woman of the Year Award, Smart CEO Magazine Bravo Award recipient, and more. She holds an MBA with a concentration in financial management from the University of Maryland, College Park, and a Bachelor of Science degree in finance from the University of Alabama in Birmingham. She published her first book, Navigating, I got it in my hot little hands here, so excited, Navigating Your Way to Business Success, an Entrepreneur's Journey, which was released in 2009. A native of Birmingham, Alabama. And I think we may have talked about this, Kathy, but I don't know. That is my roots as well. My mom was born in Birmingham. She resides in Vienna, Virginia with her husband, our friend R. Gregory Freeland, and they are the proud parents of adult twin daughters, Bria and Bryn Nicole, and one Bria Simone and Bryn Nicole, and one deceased son, Richard Gregory II, for whom RG2 Technologies was named. Come on, Enlightened Women. Come on, Mondays in the Meditation Room crew. Help me welcome our guest tonight, Catherine Bridges Freeland, to the platform on tonight. Yay, Kathy. Welcome, welcome. Unmute yourself so we can hear
There
you.
you go. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Wonderful. Everybody's saying welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank
So,
you
so
so much.
excited. Good. So, okay, Reverend Kendra. Hey, Pastor Debbie. So glad to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am overjoyed and elated. Can I tell you, I had to read that bio because how many of you know you sometimes just don't know how much somebody has done, even though you've known them for well over 25, 30 years, you just don't know. So the joy and blessing I had of reading this full bio was just wonderful. I'm just, and because she's so humble with it, so unassuming and so helpful and kind. Matter of fact, I was sharing with her earlier that on one of the social media posts I did about tonight with her beautiful picture, someone came on and said, she's the sweetest person I know. And I absolutely agree. And so we are grateful to have her celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Welcome, Kathy, to
Thank
Monday in
you
the Meditation Room.
for the invitation, Reverend Kay.
I'm so excited. So this is this sacred and rich space where women in midlife come to really talk about. One of the things that led me to it was in my book, I really talk about this whole hitting a brick wall, this whole 5 months of what I call my 5 months of grace and transformation, just asking God, what in the world is going on? And realizing that it wasn't anything new, but I was just entering to that rite of passage of going into midlife and coming through perimenopause and menopause and having that whole conversation with my friends and all of the things that we were going through and realizing nobody really talked to us about it. When I asked other women, did anybody talk to you about midlife or menopause or anything? And the answer was no. And many of us were in our own silos thinking we were losing our minds all by ourselves and that we were the only ones. And so writing the book was cathartic, but I found out that it was giving voice to so many of us, and in particular for Black women. So we created this space just for that, to celebrate one another. So even after reading that bio, I really want to kick off our conversation with asking you to just tell us about Kathy, the woman in midlife.
Well, Kelly, I had to look up. First, let me thank you for inviting me, to the meditation room. This is really exciting. And so I've been really excited all day long for this. So thank you so much, and for everybody who's joining this evening as well. I first had to look up what's the definition of midlife. I need to make sure that I was there, right? So there were two definitions I found. One said it was 45 to 60, and another one said it was 45 to 65.
Mhm.
So I am in the range. I think I can talk a little bit about it, right? And so I remember when I turned 50, nearly 10 years ago, I proclaimed that I was going to be fit and fabulous at 50, right? Fit and fabulous. And so, and now that I'm up soon to turn 60 this year, 11 months from now, I had proclaimed at 50 that I was going to be sleek and sexy at 60, right? I proclaimed that like 10 years ago. And so now that I'm actually in the year when I will turn 60, and I am in the midlife crisis range, right? I have arthritic knees, but I'm still proclaiming that I'm sleek and sexy at 60. So we never know what
Man.
that midlife piece is going to bring. But I think it's a lot different than what our parents' midlives was, for sure. I can remember it so vividly. My mother was something to deal with when she was in her 50s. I remember that so well. And my daughter haven't quite said that I'm something to deal with just yet. So I think I'm still in good shape. But I'm thankful to God that we're in this time and space, and that He's blessed me to kind of see this part, of my life. And my best friend Denise, she tells me oftentimes, she said it's just part of the journey. She's a couple of years more mature than I am, and so she says it's part of the journey. And so I'm trying to enjoy this ride. But I think about being midlife, having been married now for 36 years. I've been married my entire adult life. And I tell my husband that quite often, that I've been married my entire adult life. So 36 years married, 28-year-old twin daughters that are finally off my payroll. They're living their best lives. 22-year breast cancer survivor, all kind of part of that journey. And I've been an entrepreneur my daughter's entire lives. And so I think about that progression, and now to see where I am now, where God has brought me up to this point, almost 60 years old. Like you said earlier, we have more time behind us than we have ahead of us. And so we need to live our best lives now, even though we're in that midlife, sexy, sleek stage of our lives.
Yes. I say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I just want you to know they are like, oh my God, she looks fabulous. You absolutely do look fabulous. I love it. And
Thank you
because
so
you
much.
you are running and walking. Do you run or are you walking? Because you used to walk and run or walk or a combination of the two.
Yeah, I walked more than I ran. You may recall we used to do those, my friend and I, Denise, we used to do those 60-mile walks as part of
Mhm.
the breast cancer recognition and each year of the journey. And so the last time we did the 60-mile walk was in 2019 before the pandemic hit. And so my doctors are certain, my husband is certain that my arthritic knees is because I walk so much.
Uh,
And I tell him my arthritic knees is because I've been on my knees praying
Come
because
on
I've been
here.
married for 36 years.
Yes. Oh my God. Absolutely. I love it. Rochelle Torres says, hey, you look
Hey,
fabulous.
Roro.
So I'm loving and see this I'm on the master class. It's been wonderful. I have friends that are joining us tonight as well. For over 30 years, Winna and Susan is on, and
Hey,
Rochelle
Susan.
is on. So we are. It's like a reunion of sorts as well. And so it is amazing to hear you talk about your breast cancer experience and being a survivor, because last week's guest, Melanie Gamble, was as well
Oh, wow.
as a survivor. And it is a blessing to hear the story of Black women coming through it and coming out on the other side. Because statistically, even though, at least from the last statistics I read, we aren't the highest that get it, but unfortunately, our numbers of passing from it is higher than any other group. And so it's a blessing to see you here looking beautiful and fit and fabulous and sassy and sexy and the whole 9 yards
Thank
on
you.
the way to 60. And I think I'm gonna beat now, I think I'm gonna beat you there because I only have 5 months. So
All
it
right.
11 for you, but 5 for me. And so I'm just blessed by your story. And as an entrepreneur, just talk about that for a few minutes before I go to the actual question, because to hear you say you've been pretty much an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
all your girls' lives. And was that something that you were taught or you saw, or it's just something you felt called to do?
I definitely didn't see it, and I definitely wasn't taught it. And I
Mhm.
say that my dad had a sixth grade education, and my mom graduated from high school. And so she was a domestic, and my dad just worked. And so his direction to us was you get a good education, you get you a great job, you marry your great man, and you do it in that order. And
Mhm.
so it wasn't about, I never saw anyone who, that I knew anyway, that owned a business, that was an entrepreneur. So my path was to work hard and have a good job and work there for 40 years and get my gold watch kind of thing, right? And
Yeah.
so it wasn't until I moved to Maryland after I married my husband, Greg, who actually had an entrepreneurial spirit himself. And so I began to then see that there are people who look like me that are entrepreneurs, but
Mhm.
I never had a vision to be an entrepreneur. I just wanted to have a good job and be able to, have a comfortable life and not have to struggle the way my parents had to struggle. And so it wasn't really until I started working in the space that I am today, as a federal contractor, after going to get my master's degree, and I was now ready to be in management in that position. That when it became available, I thought I was qualified for it. However, that company did not select me for the position after I had worked there for 5 years. And so I had to decide on, what I was going to do other than complain about why they mistreated me and why I felt discriminated against. And it was Greg who said, well, have you ever thought about being an entrepreneur? Like, what is that? I don't know what that is. And so it was that event that thrust me into thinking outside the box and considering whether or not I could really do this. And with him, I cannot take credit all by myself, because it was truly part of Greg's vision too,
Mhm.
that we were able to join together and put our collective capabilities and skill sets together and start RG2 Technologies, right? And so that's really was the catalyst, being turned down for the position, being felt like I was discriminated against because I was a black female who
Mhm.
had to train her at that time white male
Yes,
person.
yes, yes.
And so I was like, you know what, something's got to give here. And so but I say that to what I say today is that truly was what thrust me into entrepreneurship. And it is why I am where I am today. It's because if I had not been willing to take the risk and not be afraid
Mm.
to take the risk, then, who knows? We don't know. I'm sure I'd still be successful and God would still be blessing. But if I don't know if it would be at this level. And so that's truly, how that entrepreneurial piece came together and, really never looked back since then.
I love it. It's so powerful. Statistically, doing research for it,
Mhm.
the ones who are taking those that leap of faith to entrepreneurship is Black women. We are outpacing every other group in deciding to take that leap of faith for, I'm sure, a variety of reasons. And I'm sure many is because of some of the same experiences that you have had, being passed over and then training people to do the
Right.
things that we should be promoted for, furloughs, all kinds of things, and just deciding, excuse
Bless
me,
you.
to
Mhm.
take that leap of faith. So thank you for telling us that story, because even in midlife, it's not too late.
That's right.
Even take that leap of faith to follow your passion, to be your own boss. And nobody's saying it's easy, but
No,
you're being led to do that even now. You can absolutely do that. And
absolutely.
speaking of that, I would ask, what would you say? Ooh, excuse me.
Bless you.
The fun of live broadcast, right?
That's right.
What would you say would be your greatest struggle or disappointment as an entrepreneur?
Mm. Well, there are many of them.
Mm,
There are many of them. Early on, there were many. Even today, there's still, plenty.
mm,
But I would say the biggest struggle early on was the fact that we couldn't get financing.
mm,
We had the vision, we had the plan. We even had, a customer lined up. We just couldn't get the financing from a traditional lender.
mhm,
And because we were entering into a market that was predominantly male dominated, right? So I think I had three strikes against me, and I talk about it a little bit in the book.
mhm.
I was black, I was a female, and I had no money.
Wow.
And so I wasn't, we didn't have enough collateral according to them in order to secure the bank loan that we wanted. It was like $50,000. So back then that sounded, it was a lot of money. But we couldn't get it, and so that was a huge struggle for us. And we had to figure out how we are going to finance this entrepreneurial venture without having the capital in order to do so. And so, I have a finance degree, right? So we may not have had a whole lot of capital, but we had credit, right? And so
Mhm,
I would never advise anyone to finance your business on credit,
mhm.
but that's all we had. So we
Wow.
had to use the credit in order to sustain ourselves, in order to get that first, contract finance and all that, until we could start bringing in more contract dollars.
Mhm,
And so that was a huge struggle. And I'm certain that is a struggle for many entrepreneurs, even today.
mhm,
It's still kind of being blocked out, from accessing these types of capital, this type of capital. But now there's so many other alternatives that we didn't necessarily have available to us then that we have available to us now. And so that was a huge, huge struggle, being the access to capital. And obviously, from the secondary struggle, I would say, was really just trying to manage. For me, it was managing being an entrepreneur and a mom
mm,
and a wife and all these other things at the same time, and doing them all well. And so now that we're in midlife, many of us who are thinking about going into entrepreneurship and starting your own business now We don't necessarily have to deal with our children are grown and
Mhm.
hopefully out of the house and doing their own things. And now we can kind of decide, what it is we want to do, and do we have the capacity and the capital in order to be able to fund whatever this entrepreneurial venture is? Because every entrepreneurial venture requires capital. I don't care what it is you're doing, you're going to need capital, you're going to need money in order to do it. And so there's so many other ways to finance deal opportunities now. So it's just a matter of being a little bit creative and knowing where to find those resources.
That is such a great response. So, anybody has any questions, please put it in the chat. If you have any questions for Kathy, please put it in the chat and we will convey them to her. I was watching, I think it's called Sister Speak. It's a new series on the OWN network.
Okay.
And this one was talking about finances, and they were talking about that very thing even now. Like you said, it's probably happened now. A lot of the women were entrepreneurs, and that was their biggest thing, trying to find capital, trying to find people who would back the business or invest in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Black woman on there who had developed an app for children to learn about finances, saving money. And she took it, and basically they were saying, oh, that's not viable, that's not going to work. And of course, sure enough, she said not too long after, white men were getting into that, creating apps. And I really saw that because I started seeing commercials for apps
Mm-hmm.
for children, teaching them how to save money and all
Mm-hmm.
that. I said, that sister had that idea years ago, but could not get the capital. And she finally, like I think she said, Kevin Durant, and many athletes and people like that started investing in her. But that's one of the hardest things, depending on what it is, to
Correct.
get capital.
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely.
and so but to keep trying, right, and believing that
Absolutely.
or and create it. So when we think about that, what would you then say would be your greatest achievement or thing that you would celebrate about being an entrepreneur?
Well, celebrate out being an entrepreneur. I would definitely say just having the wherewithal to have the stick to itness,
Mm,
hang in there. Because I told the story before. We were $300 away from bankruptcy. It was just a struggle.
mhm,
But as the Lord would have it, He came through just in the nick of time, right? And so the biggest achievement from an entrepreneurship standpoint, I would definitely be able to say that I had the God gave me the wisdom and the understanding to be able to follow the vision,
mhm.
and not to give up even when things got tough. And things got tough a lot. A lot of times things got tough. And so to be able to take something from nothing,
Mhm.
and that's truly what it was. We bootstrapped our way, the
Wow.
basement of our house, just bootstrapped our way until the change came. And once the change came, which means that change really was our first major opportunity. The first major opportunity where a government customer gave us a chance to do something for them, to provide a service to them. And
Wow.
the change came. And so, from that perspective, being able to grow RG2 to the
Mhm.
point where the goal that we had set was to be able to grow a company where we could keep our son's memory alive.
Wow.
That's the whole point, the whole purpose of the RG2 in the beginning. So that every time the phone rang and somebody said, "Good morning, RG2 Technologies," his name was in the atmosphere and his memory was kept alive. And so God would allow that to be able to grow to the point where we were able to sell RG2
Mhm.
13 or so years after we started,
Mhm.
to the point where I had put in the atmosphere that I was going to retire by the time I was 40.
Mhm.
And so we sold RG2 in 2003, and I transitioned out in '06. So the biggest entrepreneurial accomplishment obviously was the ability to be able to sell our company. But in addition to that is the lives that we touched, the number of people that we hired, and the families who I was responsible for, was huge, right? And so the Lord allowed me to be able, and Greg to be able to grow RG2 to the point where we were able to make certain we had jobs for people. And
Wow.
that's the same thing that's happening today in ATEC, you
Hmm.
know, making sure that we are able to grow our company where we can have jobs for people. And so hopefully, just as I retired the first time when I was 44 instead of 40, believing that 2022 is my next retirement year. And
Hmm.
so God has once again just put us in that position where entrepreneurship became our retirement.
Wow.
And so those are some of the, I would say that the really the major accomplishment for us, as entrepreneurs.
That is phenomenal. Do you, I just want y'all to just put in the chat or something. Do you realize the woman that we have before us, the journey she has taken, the wisdom that she is sharing, and the your goals? You know, people look at couples, whatever, and they say relationship goals. Look, Kathy, you are sitting there, we're looking at you, and you are like, yes, life goals, financial goals, with the wisdom that you are sharing with us, that it's not easy,
Yeah.
but to take that step of faith and know who you are, and just hold on and keep
Yeah.
standing in faith and watching God step in and work miracles. And you've just been a blessing, not by employing people, but just by being a blessing by who you are, and just blessing people and encouraging them. And I'm just grateful to share you in Mondays in the meditation room, because this is just a blessing. Anybody else being blessed by this, and I'm just grateful. And she's saying, Rochelle is saying, yes, thank you for giving Stephanie a chance at RG2 early on.
That's right. I
That's right.
forgot. That's right. Stephanie worked for us. She sure did.
So yeah, look at this. I just absolutely, this is just wonderful. And so then what would you say, because we were talking also offline before we got on,
Mhm.
about your daughters, about that being something you felt that was one of your best and most important accomplishments.
It is. Your earlier question was my entrepreneurial accomplishment, right? So I wanted to make sure I framed it, in that way. But my biggest life accomplishment is being a mother.
Hmm.
After having lost this child, and God blessing double for that, for the trouble, um, being a mom is my biggest achievement. To be able to nurture and groom them. We talk about raising our children. And I learned early on. I think I've heard it the first time from Serena and Venus's father,
Hmm.
right? Richard. He says he groomed them for greatness.
Yes.
Groomed them. He didn't just raise them; he groomed them to be champions. And so, we took that on. And so, trying to raise them and groom them so that they can choose the life that they would like to live. And
Hmm.
so to be able to look at them now at 28 years old, and they're on their path doing the things that they enjoy. And I'm in the background being the biggest cheerleader and giving advice when it's asked.
Hmm.
Giving advice when it's asked. And so that is by far, I know a lot of people who have young adult daughters and young adult sons, and they're all in different phases of their lives and doing different things and making their parents proud. And I must say, my kids are making us very, very proud. And so, by far, my biggest accomplishment, my biggest, because they are my investments. I tell them that
Hmm.
you are my investments.
Yes.
So yeah, by far, love them to death.
Mhm. And that is, we had to shift that thinking a while back, that our legacy really is not the things that we leave, and not even our accomplishment, is the lives that we've touched, either children we've raised or have adopted, or the children's lives that we've mentored. That
Mhm.
that is the legacy that keeps on um, reverberating in the earth, especially as we celebrate today the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther
Absolutely.
King. We are also celebrating the life and legacy of Coretta Scott King, because he could not have been all that he was and did everything without her. And people
That's
don't
right.
realize how much she did in the movement, even though she wasn't out there all the time. She was out there marching, and sometimes she was organizing. It's her brainchild. to do the center, the Dream Center, and the center that pays homage to his life in Atlanta, and the gift that she was across the board. And so, no matter how systems try to keep women down and make it harder for us, we still manage to accomplish a lot. And you are an example of that and a light for those who are on tonight. So I would just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I've been closing out this season or this month in this series with this question: is what would you tell your 25-year-old self to prepare you for where you are now?
That is so funny. So I probably would tell my 25-year-old self the same thing I'm telling my 28-year-old daughters.
Mm,
So, by frame of to put it into context, I was already married at 25.
mm-hmm,
I married my husband Greg the day before I graduated from college.
mm-hmm.
And so I'd already been married 3 years when I turned 25.
Wow.
So, but what I would tell my 25-year-old self then, if I was not married at 25, would be to take your time and learn who you are
Mm-hmm,
before you become somebody's wife.
mm-hmm,
Because then my identity became Greg's wife instead
mm-hmm,
of just Kathy Freeland. And so I would tell my daughters now, and anyone who's 25, and that is to know who you are,
mm-hmm,
understand what your path is, what is it that you like to do, what is it that you enjoy doing, and then from that point, enjoy your 20s so that you can discover that. And so that's what I would tell my 25-year-old self. And then, other than that, I would say not be afraid to take risks.
mm-hmm. Oh my goodness,
Because
that's
that's
good.
the opportunity, because you have all the freedom in the world and you're not tied
Mm,
down to anything. So now you can take some risks. And by taking risks, you really do begin to learn what it is that excites you, what it is that you feel that you want to do with your life going forward,
mhm,
and begin to then try to, before you start settling down and making real life decisions. So that's what I think I would tell my 25-year-old self, and just not limit myself, because the
mm,
sky is the limit at that point in time. Um, and so I think those are the things that I would tell them. And in addition to that, I would just say, trust God in the process,
mhm.
because in our 20s, we have heartbreak and
Yes.
things that go on, and we think that God then left us, and all of these kind of things, and we just never will. So all the things that I think maybe our parents tried to teach us, at a young age,
Mhm,
is what I think I would tell myself then, and again, this is what I'm sharing with my daughters now. So yeah, I think those would be the primary things that I would say, to my 25-year-old self then, and most definitely consider entrepreneurship as a path to financial freedom.
mhm. Like I'm writing these down. Consider I'm writing it because it is so good. I want to be able to share as a path, because a lot of business schools are now actually including that as a track, as a part of the business schools, which
That is correct.
really wasn't. And I think it really should start so much earlier, even in high school, at some place. I think financial management should be required in elementary school, starting in elementary school all the way up,
I
and
totally
certain as a path, especially for us as a people.
I
Definitely.
totally agree. I totally agree with you, Kelly, because you're right. Many, many schools now have entrepreneurship tracks as part of the business school. As you mentioned earlier, I'm on the School of Business, the Dean's Advisory Board for the School of Business at UAB, and they have some entrepreneurship students that are off the chain. They're doing some amazing, amazing things, and so I encourage it.
Mhm,
It's not for the faint at heart. I will say that it's not for the faint at heart. But if you have that entrepreneurial itch, my father used to say, nothing beats a failure but a try. And
mhm,
so I was determined that if I failed, I had 2 degrees to fall back on. I could always go to work.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's someone who is, really thinking about that, I say make sure you have a game plan, you have your finances in order, and you just know what you're doing, and go for it.
And go for it. Ah, you are a trailblazer, which is also what I'm. Thank you for sharing from your family's beginning. And what I love about talking about our ancestors and our family of origin, that for some of them they didn't have a lot of the accomplishment, but they had so much wisdom, so
Yeah.
much integrity, so much strength, and really wanting to pour into the next generation, which is their children and grandchildren. And you took that and you multiplied that seed of wisdom and love and grace and have become a trailblazer in your own right. And we are so grateful. And the truth of the matter is, the things that I wrote down, that is also good wisdom for us in midlife, as many of us are stepping back,
Hmm.
prioritizing ourselves and taking chances. So know who you are, because many of us, we're rediscovering who we are and learning who we are and embracing that. Don't limit yourself, y'all. This is good news for Mondays in the meditation room, for midlife music. Don't limit yourself even now. Don't be afraid to take risks and trust God in the process. And even in midlife, consider entrepreneurship as a path to financial freedom and options and wealth. So thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you so much, everybody.
Come on, so y'all just in the chat, just go ahead and let's thank Kathy for sharing her journey and her story with us and her life. Just say thank you. We so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Stephanie, Rochelle's daughter, saying yes, entrepreneurship is no joke, but it's so worth it. So I think you have somebody else to drop in the hat of the legacy that you are leaving in the earth is her. So thank you.
You're
Y'all, you
welcome.
know how we do share Mondays in the meditation room with another sister. Ask them to follow us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can have this opportunity to be a part of a family, a part of a community, a part of a sisterhood that's helping us journey through this most significant season of our lives of mid-year, where we are redefining it. It's not going to be a crisis and chaos for us. It might start out that way, but we are redefining, reimagining our lives to be the best season of our lives. Thank you, everybody. And don't forget, Kathy has a book. I love it. It's called Navigating Your Way to Business Success and Entrepreneur's Journey. Kathy, where can they find it? Can they still get it off of like Amazon or
Yeah, it's still on Amazon. I haven't taken it off yet. We're going to convert it to probably an ebook here this year, but they're still available on Amazon. And they can always contact me directly, and they can get a signed copy, and I'm happy to help get it that way too. So whatever works for you.
yay, do that. Can they contact you? Are you okay with letting us know how to contact you, or do you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you can contact me via email. It's KBF, so Kitten Bravo Frank CEO at gmail.com. That's my personal email address. Obviously, you can find me at atechinc.com as well. I'm on Facebook finally for the last couple of days. I had taken a break from Facebook for 2 years. And I just got back on like 2 days ago. So you can find me there, or I'm on LinkedIn. So most folk on the line probably know how to reach me.
Awesome. So I'll put it there in the chat and you guys reach out. And thank you all so for joining us. So we look forward to seeing you next Monday for Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K. And guess what? It's not too late for you to register and join us for our free 4-part masterclass, Mastering the Midlife Pivot, as we go through the book, The Enlightened Woman. Y'all know y'all go to Amazon, get it. It's not too late. And then go to enlightenedwoman.global/masterclass and register. We are having a transcendent time. And that is a tease for the next book, y'all. I'm so excited about that. It is such a safe and sacred, amazing, moving. Kathy, I said today, if I had known I needed to have tissues on my table, I would have had tissues on the table. It was just so enlightening and freeing. So don't forget you can join us. Absolutely love y'all. See you guys next time. Have a great evening.
Thank you.